You've tuned in to the unavailing frequency. But don't touch that dial. We've got you right where we want you.
Welcome to Harrow, the town that isn't supposed to exist. Account number 6, The Duplicate. If you read the 5th account, the insurance adjuster warned you that the town has figured out how to kill our engines. It acts like a localized EMP. Anything with a microchip or a computerized fuel injection system will die the second it tries to touch that perfect, flawless asphalt. But there is a loophole, and because of that loophole, I survived to warn you about what they're actually doing with the people they trap. My name is Leo. 2 weeks ago, my younger brother Sam and I were driving back from Omaha to a camping ground in Colorado. We'd taken 2 separate vehicles because he was hauling his boat. Sam was driving his brand new 2025 pickup truck loaded with sensors and screens. I was driving our grandfather's 1993 Dodge Ram, a loud, clunky, fully analog diesel beast with manual roll-up windows and exactly 0 microchips. We hit the detour on I-80 around 1 a.m. Sam was leading, I was right behind him. We took the exit, hit that washboard dirt, and drove into the darkness. I didn't notice the transition to the perfect asphalt right away because I was too busy staring at Sam's brake lights. The moment we crossed the town limits of Harrow, under those bruised yellow streetlights, his brand new truck completely died. The taillights shut off, the cab went pitch black. His truck coasted to a silent dead stop right in the middle of the road. My old Dodge, however, didn't even sputter. The analog diesel engine just kept on chugging, unaffected by whatever invisible net that they had thrown over the road. I slammed on my brakes, pulling up right behind his bumper. I left the engine idling and hopped out. The silence there in Harrow was absolute. It swallowed the loud rumble of my diesel engine like a sponge. The air was room temperature, smelling fiercely of ozone and burning copper like a blown electrical transformer. "Sam!" I yelled, walking up to his driver's side door. "Did you throw a belt or something?" Sam was frantically mashing his push-to-start button. "I don't know, man. The whole dash just bricked. The battery's completely dead." He pushed his door open and stepped out into the perfect street. Ding dong. The bell from the gas station on the corner chimed. The door swung open, but it wasn't the attendant who stepped out. It was a swarm. They poured out of that gas station, the diner, the hardware store, dozens of them. Men, women, the cop, the waitress. They moved with that horrifying, perfectly smooth glide, their heads staying entirely level as they flooded the street. There were no footsteps to hear, just the synchronized swish, swish, swish of their clothes as they converged on us at a terrifying speed. "Get my truck, now!" I screamed, grabbing Sam's shoulder, but we were too late. They surrounded us in a tight, impenetrable circle. The stench of bleach and hot plastic was suffocating. They didn't attack us, they didn't punch or bite. Instead, they swarmed Sam. 5 of them grabbed him at once. Their grips were absolute, mechanical, unyielding. The cop grabbed his left arm, the waitress grabbed his right. A man in a suit grabbed him from behind, and Sam screamed, thrashing wildly, but it was like he was chained to concrete pillars. They lifted him entirely off the ground, suspending him in the air. "Let him go!" I roared, throwing a punch at the nearest one. It was a teenager in a Letterman jacket. My knuckles connected with his cheekbone, but it was like punching a bowling ball. My hand just shattered, but the teenager didn't even blink. He just casually shoved my chest with one hand, sending me flying backwards into the grill of my idling Dodge. I scrambled to my feet, gasping for air, and watched this nightmare unfold before me. A figure stepped out from the gas station. It was completely naked, but it had no genitals, no nipples, no belly button. It looked like a perfectly smooth, featureless crash test dummy made of matte, flesh-covered silicone. It glided into the center of the circle, stopping directly in front of my screaming brother. The things holding Sam began to touch him, but they weren't hurting him, they were measuring him, something. Their perfectly smooth hands traced the contour of his face, the shape of his nose, the length of his arm. They dragged their fingers over his clothes, down his jeans, across his boots, and as they touched Sam, the featureless dummy began to change. It was like watching a 3D printer working at hyperspeed in real time. The silicone of his face warped and rippled, extruding outward from a form of a nose, sinking into the form of eye sockets. The flat brown eyes shifted, lightening into Sam's hazel color. The smooth dome of his head sprouted thick, dark hair. Then clothes began to materialize. The dummy wasn't putting on clothes. The clothes were just extruding directly out of its skin, forming the shape of Sam's flannel shirt and denim jeans. But they were glossy. The flannel pattern was perfect. There were no seams, no loose threads, no real fabric texture. It looked like a plastic action figure model's clothing. "Help me, Leo, please!" Sam sobbed. His voice was cracking. I reached into the bed of my truck and grabbed a heavy forged steel tire iron. I didn't care if I died. I wasn't leaving him here. I charged the circle, swinging the iron bar like a baseball bat. I struck the cop directly behind the back of the knee. There was a sickening crack, shattering fiberglass. The cop's leg buckled inward at the completely wrong angle. He dropped Sam's left arm. I swung again, hitting the waitress in the ribs. She stumbled back, her face glitching into a digitized mask of static terror. Sam hit the pavement. "Run!" I screamed, grabbing his collar and dragging him towards my truck. The circle broke into chaos. We scrambled into the cab of the Dodge. I threw it into gear and slammed on the gas pedal, putting it to the floor. The heavy diesel engine roared, blowing a massive cloud of black soot directly towards the crowd as I pulled forward. We clipped two of them. They bounced off the heavy steel bumper with a hollow plastic thud as they flew into the dark. I looked into my rearview mirror as we tore out of town. Under the bruised yellow streetlights, the crowd had reformed. They were standing around the fake Sam, the duplicate. And the duplicate was watching us leave. He raised his hand and gave a perfectly stiff, mechanical wave. "The replication is adequate." A flat, synchronized voice boomed from the town behind us, so loud it rattled from the windows of my truck. "We are ready for the transit." 10 minutes later, the perfect asphalt turned back to dirt. The freezing night air returned. The radio cracked back to life with static. Sam hasn't spoken a word since that night. He just sits in my living room, staring at the wall. Harrow isn't just a trap. It's an assembly line. They aren't learning how to act like us in their little diorama. They're building perfect copies of us. They're trying to figure out how to mass produce us. And if they ever fix that EMP flaw, if they ever figure out how to make their cars work outside of that town, they won't just be waiting on I-80 anymore. They'll be coming to our homes.